We are WGNS Murfreesboro.
We're broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios.
Visit MTE.com.
Middle Tennessee Electric, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Talking with Rutherford County newsmakers
since 1947.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Now your host, Scott Walker.
And now in studio with us today from the Rutherford County School System, we've got James Evans, the Chief Communications Officer, and then also with us today, Jessica Supacon, and she is the principal of the virtual school of Rutherford County, and then also the new principal of Holloway High School. So how are both of y'all doing this morning?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Definitely. It's not often we have a principal of two different schools in studio. That's different. I've not heard of that before.
It's not often that we have a principal who runs two different schools, but it's a unique situation that works out well. I'll let her tell you all about how that works.
Yeah, so how does all that work?
So the virtual school moved over to Holloway's campus last year, and the old auto shop, they renovated it and put in the building for the virtual school. And it's really nice because the two work kind of hand in hand. We get a lot of students in virtual that just need an alternate type of placement, a choice school that is unique, and Holloway is just that. It's a choice school that's unique, that doesn't do things the way that every other school does. So some students we get that want to go to Holloway and vice versa. So it's definitely a nice mix of two worlds on one campus.
That's kind of cool. And with a virtual school, how much like hands-on day-to-day operations are there for you and for other teachers and stuff?
Our virtual school is unique in that all students are working from home. They are typically on a Zoom with their teachers. We do a different mix of usually compacting the instruction in the first half of the day so that we can focus on small groups and individualized support in the afternoon. And so I do a lot of stuff on Zoom, a lot of stuff on the computer. And with my office being right on the campus, it's definitely doable to walk between two campuses and get my steps in. So
I bet.
I'm excited about next year.
Now, how many students are enrolled in the virtual school just on average, and how many do you expect for the next school year, the upcoming school year, I guess?
We typically run about 400 students in grades 4 through 12, and Holloway is about 150 students.
Okay, and the number of virtual students, that's kind of climbed a little bit each year, I guess.
It has. We opened in 2020. The Rutherford County already had plans to open a virtual school, but COVID kind of came along and fast-tracked that opening. And so we opened in August of 2020 with 100 students, and we've grown to 400 over the years and kind of been running steady at 400 over the last 3.
And James, I know we've talked about this before, but a lot of people were kind of under the misconception that the virtual school started because of COVID, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was one of those coincidences, really. We, like Dr. Supacon said, we were already planning to do a virtual school because there was really a need for it, and people were asking for that kind of option. And like she said, COVID really fast-tracked that. We learned so much about distance learning and those kinds of things, but they really were on the cutting edge of offering that virtual school. We'd seen some others in the state that were successful on different levels, and we wanted to be the flagship, and we really Dr. Supacon has really grown that program. They do some things that are unique, because some of the Monday morning quarterback types will tell you, kids need to be around other students, they don't need to be working from home, but they do a mixture of that. I'll let you talk about that some, Dr. Supacon. So it's not only virtual, majority of it is, but they have some other things they do for that social piece as well.
Yeah, we, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We do what we call Connection Fridays, and we make it a point for every Friday in the afternoon to provide opportunities that are always optional, but students can participate in clubs. We do social events, like we'll go to the Nashville Zoo. We might go roller skating, things like that, because that social piece is very important to build community and for the social skills for students. A lot of programs around the state can offer a virtual school, but I think what we offer is the best of both worlds. We have that high quality instruction with Rutherford County teachers and Rutherford County curriculum paired with those social aspects with the clubs and those opportunities for students to get together.
I remember it was a number of years back, but I was watching like a 60 Minutes news program, and it was showing kids at virtual schools, and it had these, it was almost like the lifestyles of the rich and famous, where the parents are yachting away somewhere and the kids are in the yacht learning through virtual school. And I'm guessing that's not really what it's like here locally. You don't have parents yachting across the country. Maybe you do have some, but what is it like, I guess, for that average student? What are they doing? Are they at home doing the work? What's going on there?
Well, we do have a few that might be traveling with their parents. I would say the majority of our students have parents that might work from home, or our teenagers or high school students aren't required to have a parent there, but they're sitting up at their desk, usually in their bedroom or some at their kitchen table, and they're on a Zoom. They've got their books open, they've got their paper out. We try to utilize as much paper to pencil as possible, so our students in our younger grades, and now all of our students, we're requiring a document camera, so we see that they're writing along with the teacher. They become very tech savvy very quick, so they learn how to go between like their document camera on their face to their document camera writing. And there's just a huge variety of reasons why students choose virtual. Everything from, we've got some students that have illnesses, to parents that might have illnesses, to some parents that just prefer to keep their kids at home, some that might have been previously homeschooled, but then the parents decide, hey, I'd rather have these world-class teachers and the Rutherford County curriculum that is, exceptional. So just a lot of different reasons why students decide to be a virtual school student.
I think that's the first time I heard documenting camera. So what exactly would that be?
So it's just a USB that plugs into their computer, and it's a camera on basically like a stand. And so it can focus in on their piece of paper and show the teacher on their Zoom screen all of their 20 students handwriting their essay, or it could be working out their math problems to make sure that they're, working each step along with the teacher. Or it can then do their face. So,
okay, that's interesting. Now, James, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say we have had. What was the athlete that we had that had to travel? Was it ice skating?
We've had traveling ice skaters. We've had a soccer player that went and was playing at a world, conference in Germany. We have competitive equestrians. We have competitive sharpshooters. We have, you name it. We have had those students that have had to travel for their sport or their trade.
Yeah. And another interesting aspect, the teachers who are part of this school, they're not all local, are they?
So for grades 4 through some high school, they are local. They're in our office here on Highland Avenue. And then some of our specialty high school courses, those foreign languages, those are through our provider, Pearson, which has been exceptional, with no complaints from students, staff, or parents.
Well, that just makes sure that they have those opportunities to have some of those unique courses to still do. But, it's really interesting. We do have some of those students we talked about that have interesting lives, and they have to travel, and so this helps them work their school around their unique schedules. But what we've also found is that it really is for those parents who kind of want to homeschool without maybe some of the headaches of having to do all of it themselves. So they're getting a free homeschool program through the school district, but they're working from home, and so that's really where we're seeing a huge amount. And I think that's probably where some of the growth will be in the school too, is those who want to homeschool, but they don't necessarily have all the resources or time to devote to it, so they kind of have a kind of a hybrid system, and they're really enjoying it. So now the other thing that Dr. Supercon is doing is, so she is a graduate of Holloway High School, and she's been a vice principal there before she was the principal at You were vice principal at Holloway, right?
Just a dean there.
I'm sorry, dean. My bad. But she is now has some big plans for Holloway because we want to see that program grow too. A lot of people misunderstand what Holloway is, my family included. I was talking to my wife about this a few weeks ago and said, we have a new principal at Holloway. She's got great big plans. We were excited for it. And she goes, isn't that an alternative school? And I was like, no, it's not an alternative school. You're my wife. You don't know this. And so that, because it's had so many different structures and served so many purposes over the years, people have misunderstood what it is. And so that's one of the things that Dr. Supakhan is working on is making sure that the school's branding is out there and what it's for. But it is really one of those high school programs that we offer that's smaller class sizes. Some students don't do well in larger schools. A lot of our high schools are, thousands of students or hundreds to thousands. Holloway is something different, but it also is offering some opportunities for these students. And we've had so many students go through the program and their parents just say, man, they really flourished there. We had no idea. This is a hidden gem. We're trying to unhide that gem. We want people to know about it to get more people enrolled.
Yeah. So what is that traditional student at Holloway? What are they there for?
So a variety of different reasons, just like virtual school. I started attending Holloway in the 90s because I wanted to quickly get done with high school and move into college at MTSU. And so Holloway was one of the only schools back then that offered a 4x4 block schedule. Now all of them have adjusted to that. And so that piece of being able to graduate early is still there. But in addition to that, I think the typical Holloway student is one that thrives not in a huge, several thousand student school.
Yeah.
And a lot of students need that, and a lot of parents want that. And I've got some students at virtual that said, oh gosh, he wants to return in person, but I'm so worried about him going to his zone school with all those students. Let me talk to you about Holloway. And so we've got a lot that are going to, transition over to Holloway because 150 students with, an average class size of 15, that's something that you can't get anywhere. We've got some really great ideas for doing some hands-on work next year, which Holloway's always been really a hands-on school. Back when I was there as a student, and then I taught there for 11 years after I graduated. So we get to do unique projects with students. We would do field trips. We started back when I was a teacher there, we would do one-day field trips to different areas of the country. And
wow.
I got this idea from a business conference. I was a business teacher, and one of the teachers who was out of a private school in Nashville, he said, I love to take my kids to Nashville Airport and take advantage of those cheap flights to other cities, fly there for the day and fly back. And so I asked Miss Drayton, the then principal, would you, support this idea? And she said, absolutely, and I'm coming with you. So we went to Philadelphia, New York City, Boston.
And these were just day trips that you guys took?
They were day trips in order to expose our students to as many places as possible, because a lot of them had never been out of Murfreesboro or the state. And so most of our students had never been on an airplane before, and we went to Washington, D.C., toured the White House, went to, the mall there with all of the museums, and just exposed students to so many different things that they hadn't. And that was, possible because of our small size. We brought so many students, and
that's a really cool opportunity. I mean, you don't hear about that even really at private schools that much anymore, or I really haven't heard about that in the past. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's just one of the things that we can do at Holloway. We've already got a good business program. I was a teacher in that program for a while, and then we have a fantastic art program there, but some exciting things we're adding next year is music classes. We are adding guitar, instrumental music. We have a beautiful new greenhouse that was just built that's incredible on the campus. So we're going to add in growing plants and vegetables. And then our last one is design, which we're thrilled about this. We're adding interior design and fashion design, which we are one of now only 2 schools in Rutherford County to have this. So a lot of fun things coming up next year at Holloway.
Wow. It is like a kind of like a private school atmosphere because of the size, really. And I used to talk about Eagleville that way, too, because it's a smaller school, yet Eagleville's not really that small, but the classroom size, it does feel a lot more personal, I guess, compared to the larger schools.
Well, because of Eagleville, that it's also very relational, because you meet these students and you form these bonds, and you're together so long. I went to a smaller high school in Cheatham County where we were 7 through 12. We were K6, 7, 12, so similar to like in Eagleville. And so there were people that I went to school with in kindergarten that I graduated with and had known the entire time. Holloway's got that too, and you really see it at their graduation ceremony each year. That it's all about those relationships and what they form there. And so I'm excited to see what she's going to do, because it's if the virtual school is kind of a hybrid homeschool program, Holloway's kind of like our version of a charter school or a small private school, like you mentioned. There are a lot of parents that are wanting that smaller atmosphere, the relational, some of the more in one-on-one programs like they're talking about, and they offer that. And again, it's part of the school district, and so they are enrolling right now. So if you're hearing this and want to enroll, go to their website, talk to Dr. Supercon. She's eager to get more students involved at this school.
So at for example, at Holloway, you don't have to be zoned for a particular area, just in Rutherford County, and you can sign your child up to attend there. Now, do you automatically get accepted, or is there a process? How does that work?
It is streamlined, but I'm going to let Dr. Supercon tell you what her process is for admissions.
Okay.
So we do look at every applicant. We want to make sure that, we're looking at all of our applicants. There is an application online. It's a quick form to fill out. And then parents and students hear back from us now that we're back. I'm back full time now from my break, but very quickly they'll hear back from us.
Okay. And when does school officially start, by the way?
So the first day of school is Friday, August 7th. That's the 2-hour day, the orientation day and registration day. And then the first full day is August 10th. And we're going to talk about this later, but we're going to do a big enrollment push for all schools for starting on July 22nd. I'll explain that in a minute. But Holloway is taking applicants right now. So if parents are interested, strike while the iron's hot. Get in there and talk to Dr. Supercon and get that ball rolling, because she's trying to plan for the year.
Sounds good. And again, folks can text any questions they have to 615-893-1450. And in general, when you look at all the schools in Rutherford County, there are now, including the virtual school, how many schools?
So we're opening number 53 this August. That's Poplar Hill Middle School. That opens in a few weeks. There's a ribbon cutting for that school coming up on Sunday, July 26th. It's a big community celebration, but it's on the same campus as Poplar Hill Elementary that we opened up last year. Part of the Beatty Farm was sold to us for that purpose. It's a really pretty campus, just a great setting out there. But celebrating that ribbon cutting 2 p.m. on Sunday, July 26th. And then, of course, the school opens on August 7th.
And then plans in place for another high school in that direction as well.
We are circling a couple of pieces of land out there that they are aiming for a high school there. Eventually, it's not going to be next year by any means, but the first step is to get the land purchased, and then it's a 2 to 3 year process to build a high school, because they're so much larger.
And then what's next in the plans for Rutherford County? Because, we're still growing like crazy.
So every year the board meets and looks at our 5-year building program, and then makes adjustments based on enrollment or population patterns, people growing. Of course, the I-24 corridor is very popular, 840 is popular, all those because of commuting to Nashville and Franklin and Lebanon, those kinds of things. So those are kind of our hot zones. So they are looking at land. I think we just closed on that actually on Lee Road property. That's potentially going to be a high school. And
that was several years in the making right there.
They've been looking at that one for the past year and a half, basically. They've been looking at that land, but we did just close on that, I believe a week and a half ago we closed, so we now own that property. It's tentatively scheduled to be a high school. We're going to see, because I also look at what's the enrollment doing. We look at that every year to see changes in patterns and those kinds of things to determine what grade school is needed first, but potentially a high school there. And then we're also looking at some land that's near the Poplar Hill schools that would also potentially be a high school, potentially would be Poplar Hill High School one day. And that's a farm alongside I-24 in that area over there near Baker Road.
It's really interesting to see Rutherford County grow and to see the different needs change, because at one point, one of the things we talked about was, well, you're seeing less of those kindergarten, first grade age students come to the area because a lot of the families that move here, they're already established because you almost have to be to afford some of the prices today.
Right. Well, and we did see a slight dip, and this happened across the state this year, but a slight dip in kindergarten numbers. 1 year doesn't make a trend, but it was down slightly, about 150 students this year, mainly kindergarten. But this is also, we're going to see how kindergarten enrollment goes this year, because this is the year that what we playfully call the COVID babies would be of kindergarten age coming this next school year. So we could see a spike there. It just depends. And because kindergarten is one of the hardest grades to predict, because the other grades, you kind of know how many were in their grade beforehand the year before, and they will move up, and so you can look at history there. But kindergarten, you don't know until they enroll, and so that's the hardest one to predict. So we're going to see how that does this year.
Interesting. One of the questions we had texted in, kind of off subject, but deals with school, and the question's asking about cursive handwriting classes. Are cursive handwriting classes still something that take place in the school system?
They are. They're more of an enrichment class now. Cursive is just one of the things that's not a state requirement like it used to be. But you'd be surprised how often we get this question. And so our schools do offer a cursive writing, but it's an enrichment thing. It's something that's not required by the state, but we still do it. My middle school son, last night had to sign something for his physical for sport, and he said, "Do I need to do that cursive thing?" And I said, "You do. It's a signature." And so he did it, and I watched him do it. He wasn't super fast at it, but he got it out, and so his signature looks more like a doctor's signature right now. But that's okay. That's the beauty of signatures. So,
that means he'll be a doctor, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, and I'm thinking back. I don't remember when schools stopped doing cursive, but I remember that was one of the big things we learned in school.
Yeah, and people are very passionate about, the cursive is one of those staples that everyone should know. Part of it, I think, is because we've moved more and more to typing than we used to, and so the students don't know more about that. But, there's a balance there, of course. There's a need for cursive. There's also a need, obviously, for typing. But I think thumb typing has taken over even traditional typing, so... it's just one of those things that evolve.
Is typing even a class anymore? Because it seems like kids grow up learning or knowing how to do it a lot of the times.
There are keyboarding classes offered in the middle school level typically, but also, like you said, I took keyboarding and typing in high school, and then I used to be a reporter, and so I had to write a lot, but I did not do like if someone looked at my hands the way I type, probably not by the book. I know where the home row is and all that stuff, but I'm not sure I use the right fingers on the right keys, but I get by and I can type pretty quickly. But you're right. It's one of those things that we all do so much now that you just learn how to do it, right?
Yeah. And going back to the virtual school program, it's a certain type of student, I would guess, that is perfect for that type of atmosphere, because not every kid is going to, especially if they're home alone and they're a teenager, they're not going to really follow instruction well if they're by themselves, So there's I'm guessing a certain type of kid who is the right fit for that.
Yes, definitely those that are self-motivated and able to work at their own pace and not have to be kind of prodded to do that by their parents. The younger ones, we definitely have parents that assist with them until they feel comfortable on their own, and our teachers are good about giving lots of reminders and working kids through things and helping them adjust to that technology. But definitely for those older ones, they need to be self-motivated.
And do you sometimes have kids who you got to say, well, you're not really doing the things you need to do in virtual school, so we're kind of thinking this may not work out for you?
There's definitely conversations, that lead up to that. Lots of meetings with parents, with students, and we usually come to a mutual understanding with students and parents after we give them so many phone calls or meetings, and we say, well, do we think this is the best fit for your son or daughter? And usually by the time we get to that point, the student and the parents and us all agree, yeah, he should probably, or she should probably try the zone school in person again.
During that COVID period, when virtual schools started opening here in Rutherford County, you had a handful of parents who literally pulled their kids out of school and they enrolled them in I don't know what the company was or what the education system was, but they enrolled them in some other type of virtual type school program. And it wasn't related to the Rutherford County Schools. But how did all that turn out after COVID? I mean, what was the aftermath of some of those decisions that were made back then?
Well, we definitely had a lot that re-enrolled quickly, whether that be in person or with us. And there are some decent online virtual schools that are not affiliated with Rutherford County. What we do differently, though, is that we have that accredited curriculum that Rutherford County stands behind, that we are year after year a level 5 school district, and we have level 5 teachers that are teaching it. So you know what you're getting. You know that, you can go apply to MTSU and they're going to honor everything on your transcript. And then that in-person opportunity that our students have to participate in clubs, National Honor Society, Beta Club, field trips and things like that, you're not going to get with one of those online companies.
I know I guess, interviewed a lot of parents towards the beginning of that, and some of them were saying, we're going to put our kids in this or put our kids in that. But it wasn't until that school year was about to wrap up that a lot of these parents were saying, my kids are so far behind at this point. They weren't really in a virtual class like we were led to believe whenever we signed up for this XYZ program. And again, I don't remember the different names of schools or institutions that they were signing up through, but they were not through Rutherford County.
Right. And that's one of the reasons we started our own virtual school here back when we did. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to, talk bad about another school, but there were some schools in the state that were some of the first virtual schools. But if you looked at their performance, they were typically the last school in the state for performance. And that's not on the school. When you see performance that low, that means the students aren't learning what they need to learn. They're not being prepared. Yeah, they were technically in school, and so they met the letter of the law of being enrolled in a school, but the school was just awful. I mean, the students were just not performing, and we knew that we could do it better here because we do so well with so many of our schools already, and we're known for that high performance. That's where we started our virtual school. And so, we've got some really great stories of students coming out of the virtual school and doing some incredible things after high school. And so we know that it's working. We see their performance. It's if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And that's how we got involved in that side of things. So that's why we offer virtual schools, because there were parents who really wanted that type of program, and they were turning to things that were just horrendous. And so we have really shown them kind of the Rutherford County way.
Those who went through the traditional Rutherford County virtual school, did they graduate with just a regular high school diploma like every other kid?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a beautiful ceremony at MTSU, one in December and one in May, because we have a lot of students that want to graduate early in December. Our students go on with top honors. We've got Vanderbilt enrollees. We've got students that go a huge amount go on to college, very successful. We have been, a top performer as far as our test scores. We have been a reward school, a very high report card grade. A lot of subjects our students score right below Central Magnet, outperforming many other in-person schools. So we're very proud of what we do. We're proud of the work that our teachers are doing, and we really stand behind what we do, and our parents would echo that, I'm sure.
That's good to hear, because I know the aftermath that we heard from a lot of the parents who were enrolling in these non-traditional type atmospheres. Some of these kids were graduating and they couldn't even get transcripts to get into a college, or colleges weren't accepting the transcripts from that so-called virtual school that was outside of the Rutherford County school system.
I think a lot of parents that might be looking for that and not doing their full homework and research on it, a lot of schools aren't accredited, and that's really important that they're looking at that. And then a lot of the coursework in those schools is what you'd call asynchronous. Students can work at their own pace. There's not anything keeping them on track as far as due dates or a teacher that's overseeing that. A lot of things are auto-graded, and so just knowing teenagers, if something's auto-graded and they can search it up online, there's no accountability piece for a teacher actually overseeing that work. And that's something that we do at the virtual school. We, have synchronous and some asynchronous, but there's always a teacher of record that's overseeing things and making sure that students are doing their work and they're prepared for that next step, whether that be college or, trade school or,
Yeah. I happened to be a teenager at one point in my life, and there's no way I would have been able to get through probably even the Rutherford County virtual school system. I've got to be able to see physically that teacher in front of me. I've got to understand and comprehend it just that way. There's no way I could, if I were by myself, I would probably skip every class out there. It just wouldn't work for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of other students like that.
Well, you for sure learn very quickly whether that's the right type of environment for you. Some people thrive. Some families have that work ethic and they know how to support students in that environment. And there are some that think, it's easier somehow because it's asynchronous. And so it's not. It's different. It requires a lot of self-starting, self-motivation, and just discipline. And so if it doesn't work out, then we see them come back to a traditional school. But there are others that are thriving in it. So we have two great options, and that's why I wanted Dr. Supercon to come with me this morning. One being the virtual school that's like kind of a hybrid homeschool program that we offer through the system, through the school district, and then also Holloway, which is for all other checks would be a very small high school that offers a ton of creative learning opportunities for students, and it's kind of like our equivalent of a charter school or a small private school, but it's part of the public school district. And it's available to families who want to sign up, and we are taking applicants right now for the new school year. We had
another question here, and it's a parent asking. It said, I was under the impression that Holloway was a trades-only type school or type learning environment. What about that is not true or no longer true?
Back in the 80s, it actually did become Holloway Votech High School, and so it was centered around the trades, and they had cabinet making, and they had auto shop, and so then it transitioned back to Holloway High School, kind of away from that Votech. But we still do wonderful things with, those programs that we have. And it's just an exceptional place for students that need a smaller setting. And it's unique because there's no other choice high schools in Rutherford County for grades 9 through 12 that are not academically based to get in. So we are really the only choice school where students don't have that academic component for high school.
Okay. We're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll try to get to a couple of other questions here. But again, with us this morning from the Rutherford County School System, we have got James Evans, the Chief Communications Officer for the schools, and then also Jessica Supakon. She is the principal of both the virtual school and then also Holloway High School here in town. We will be right back.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
When I eat healthy, I can eat at Demas's. When I want to eat unhealthy, I can eat at Demas's. If I'm in the mood for pasta, I go to Demas's. If I want steak, I go there. It does not matter what I'm in the mood for. This is Peter Demas. The only thing we don't have is fried food. So it's very easy when you want to take a group out and there's that veto power person who's like, I don't want this. Well, we usually will have something that they want because we have such variety on our menu. The only thing we don't have is fried food. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
The Hardy Murphy chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution. Spotlight America 250.
I'm Valerie DeHoff. In 1776, the idea that people could rule themselves was just an experiment. A shaky, unlikely, dangerous experiment. 250 years later, that experiment became a beacon of freedom, continually changing and evolving. What does it mean to be an American? The search for independence didn't end in 1776. It started there. This year, we celebrate our 250th anniversary, reflecting on our journey, honoring the sacrifices of many, and looking forward to the future. Check out your local Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution, and Children of the American Revolution chapters today.
A public service of WGNS.
Here's Dr. Craig McCabe at McCabe Vision Center.
We deliver state-of-the-art care by state-of-the-heart people.
I can see clearly now. I have difficult eyes to do contacts with, and they test them, and they work with me a lot on getting the right contacts. And now I have glaucoma, and they're working with that to make sure that that's treated accurately.
McCabe Vision Center.
I definitely would recommend them.
McCabe Vision Center on Heritage Park Drive, just off Memorial, behind SunTrust Bank.
WGNS.
Our family at Demas's Restaurant are proud to support local emergency responders who put their lives on the line for our community each and every day. This is Peter Demas, and here is this week's Demas's Emergency Responder of the Week.
Laverne Police Chief Christopher Mays is Demas Emergency Responder. Chief Mays was appointed to lead the Laverne Police Department in January 2023. When he stepped into the role, the department had been navigating a difficult period, marked by officer turnover, leadership instability, and public concern. Under Chief Mays' leadership, the department regained community support and strengthened its reputation for professionalism and service.
When you see a firefighter, police officer, paramedic, or telecommunicator going the extra mile, let WGNS know, and we at Demas's Restaurant will salute them as the Emergency Responder of the Week.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
You're tuned to WGNS, and with us in studio, we have got James Evans, the Chief Communications Officer for the county schools, and then also Jessica Supakan. She is the principal of both the virtual school and Holloway High School. And just to summarize, what's that like being the principal of both?
A unique opportunity to help students find the right choice for them throughout Rutherford County, whether that be a unique setting at home on their computer or whether that be in a very close, intimate family setting at Holloway with 150 high school students.
That's a lot of kids there, but far fewer kids than all the other schools. I mean, that's a big difference in class size.
It definitely is. I think that's what makes us unique and special and feel like a family. Always throughout the years, back when I was a student there in the 90s, all the way up till now, it's always been like a family. Every teacher knows every student, and we love that. That's
a good feeling. Now, as far as sports go, for those who are, let's say, at a virtual school, can they still do high school athletics?
Yes, they can. All of our virtual school students can play at their zone school. That's a rule that TSSAA made, that they can try out and do that normal process at their zone school. And then Holloway students, we have a unique opportunity there where we have such a small student body. Students that might not make it at their zone school because it's so competitive with so many students, most students that want to play a sport at Holloway play the sport. We have basketball, we have volleyball. And then throughout the years, we've had different sports depending on student interest and if we have a faculty sponsor that is willing to coach.
That's cool. And then, James, I know also you were talking about tax-free weekend coming up, and that's a good opportunity for a lot of parents out there.
So absolutely. So the state offers a tax-free holiday weekend on July 31st this year through August 2nd. You can buy school supplies, clothing, and some electronics. There are some dollar limits, but that's a great opportunity. Parents are always asking us every year, when is that weekend so they can get it? The schools try to provide all those school supply lists on their websites, those kinds of things. It's just a really good time. If your kid needs a new backpack, one of mine broke his last year, like with a week left to go in school, and so we hobbled along for 1 week without a backpack, but we know that we'll be buying a new one for him. It really can add up, especially if you're shopping for multiple kids. Saving that basically 10% really does help.
Have you noticed, I feel like some kids, like maybe mine, purposely break something like their backpack right towards the end of the school year because something new and cooler came out?
Yeah, my youngest son's pretty rough on things, and so I just said, you're going to have to borrow one of our adult backpacks until we can get through this. So he had this huge backpack that was like his mom's work backpack, one of her secondary ones that he used, and he's been using it somewhat throughout the summer, but he's going to need a new one. But it's a great time to do it. The other big thing is that we switched this year. We are switching to a new student information system. That's the database that houses all of the information about parents, students, all those things, academic information, we're moving to something called Synergy. And so we've had a blackout period over the summer while we moved that data from the old system to the new system. So a really big date for parents is July 22nd. That's when we will start the enrollment and verification process for the new school year. Parents will start getting emails from us saying, here, you've got to log in and do this. It's a real simple process, but every parent will have to do that this year to verify their student information. The earlier you do it, the better. And then we're also rolling out a new communications platform this year, which we think parents are going to love, because we'll be able to house all the communications in one app for parents that they can use. So if your child's on a sports team or you want to get information from your child's teacher, it'll all be through the Rutherford County Schools app, which is available now on the website. There'll be more information coming out about that as well, but we're excited about those changes. It's something that parents have been asking for. Synergy will be used for any sort of academic information that parents need, report cards, checking daily grades, those kinds of things. And then the other platform will be for just those messages that they get from their students, either from the principal or from the teacher or from the school district. It'll all come from one place.
Okay.
So parents, just be on the lookout for those. That will be rolling out a ton of information over the next couple of weeks to get everyone signed up for all of those things.
We have like 30 seconds left, but school enrollment this year.
July 22nd. That's the big date that parents can start doing that. We want to do a big enrollment push to get everyone set up way before the first day of school, which is August 7th. The earlier you do it, the better, but parents will need to start preparing birth certificates. If they have a parenting plan, any of those things that they need to upload, this is a great time to be getting that stuff together so they can upload those when they do their enrollment and verification.
Sounds great. Well, thank you both for joining us this morning. And this morning we've been talking about the Rutherford County Schools, and we are already out of time. It's 9 o'clock, and news comes your way now.